A very good afternoon to all of you. So today I am going to discuss duality. Duality in Fourier transform, and as we all are well versed that it is a very important tool. Why it is important? Because it helps us in finding the inverse Fourier transform of certain functions which are very difficult to obtain otherwise. If you want to obtain the Fourier transform of certain functions, then it will be very hectic. But by merely knowing the one relationship, either I know the Fourier transform or I know the inverse Fourier transform, I can get the another one. That is where the duality comes as a very important tool. Okay, I think it is quite clear. Now, this is a property of symmetry. The thing is that if you look at the Fourier transform relations and the inverse Fourier transform relation, it is the line that makes sense. That's why I had opened this. I had incorporated this particular line in my notes there. By comparing transform and inverse transform relations, okay, by merely comparing the transform and the inverse transform relations, we observe that these equations are similar but not quite identical. Okay, these are similar but not quite identical in form. So there is a symmetry in the Fourier transform. Okay, and this symmetry leads to the property of the Fourier transform referred as duality. Yes, this leads to the property of Fourier transform termed as duality. Is it clear? Yes. Now, have a look at the example is given. The Fourier transform of x1 t, that is the Fourier transform. This is a rect function. This is nothing but a rect function, and its Fourier transform is 2 sin omega t1 by omega. Okay. Another rect function is x2 is sin omega t by pi t. Okay, this thing. So it is clear now. This was what is coming out to be, that x1t is giving you this thing and x2t was giving you this thing. Are you getting it? Now we can very well say that is the Fourier transform of a rectangular function is nothing but the sinc function, and the Fourier transform of sinc function is nothing but a rectangular function. Is it clear? I think it is quite clear, very easy to understand, and you can also observe this thing. Yes, it is quite easy to understand. Okay, because the rectangular function here can be expressed as a rectangular t by tau. So here tau is 2 tau, here tau is 2t, and it becomes sampling of a tau sampling of omega tau by t. Yes, correct. So the t1 will cancel out in this form, and we are left with this expression. May I have the cursor? Yes, it is 2 sin omega t1 upon omega, and this is its representation. It is 0 when omega t1 equals to multiples of 2 pi. Okay, so you can get that value. When it is equals to pi, then obviously it will be 0. Omega equals to pi by t1, or you can say at omega equals to 2 pi by t1, it will again be 0. So the curve will come out to be like this. Now, if we plot this thing, the Fourier transform of this thing and this, so this will be its Fourier transform And now you can very easily observe the relationship that this thing, these two, have a look at this, these two and these two are totally similar, except they differ only in one thing, that is their domain is different. I will minimize the screen now. Okay. They only differ in one thing, and that thing is that their domain is different. Rest all the things are same. Are you getting it or not? Okay. Now moving forward, let's consider an example, and this example is very important. Take this gt as 2 upon 1 plus t square. Okay, now we know that a function exists whose Fourier transform is 2 plus 1 plus omega square, and this is nothing but e to the power minus mod t, where a is 1, so the Fourier transform e to the power minus a mod t is 2a upon a square plus omega square. I think everybody recalls this thing, 2a upon a square plus omega square. Okay, now it is very easy. If the Fourier transform, and now from the synthesis equation of this pair, we can see that e to the power minus t is nothing but equals to 1 upon 2 pi minus infinity to infinity, because this is the basic equation of inverse transform. Now this is what you are going to get if you take this 2 pi onto this side. Now this is how you are going to get. Okay, clear? Now what we are going to do is that we are going to interchange the variables. I will put t equals to omega and omega equals to t. That's it. So this term remains same. Omega becomes dt. That's it. And this can be easily done in an equation. Okay, I am only changing the variable's name. So now 2 pi e to the power minus omega is nothing. Is this thing. So the Fourier transform of 2 upon 1 plus t square is nothing but 2 pi e to the power minus omega naught, and this is a very good method. What I have done is that I have simply written the synthesis equation, and once the synthesis equation is written, then I will replace, because I have to get the Fourier transform, so I will replace t by minus t. Okay, and after that I will interchange the variables. Why I have done this, why it is important, because this basic process shows us how we can implement duality, how duality can be implemented. That's why it is very important. Okay, I think it is quite clear, and now we have arrived at a Fourier transform in this part. Okay, now coming to its application, the Parseval's theorem easily applies duality in its concept. How? You can see that the Parseval's relation relates xt the mod whole square, where it is dt and t is varying from minus infinity to infinity, 1 upon 2 pi integration minus infinity to infinity x of j omega the whole square mod square d omega. Okay, this is nothing but the Parseval's relation from the Fourier transform pair. Okay, and this is very easy to obtain. I will go into the derivation details. But this is xt the whole square. You will put x of t conjugate, then I will put the value of xt conjugate here, and then I will simply integrate it. That's it. I will simply put the integration limits, where I can say that this x dash omega, j omega will come out and xt will go inside the integral, and also the integral is now with respect to t, and this xt e to power j omega t dt from minus infinity to infinity can be termed as x of j omega. Both get multiplied and form the x j omega square. This is all for today's lecture. I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.